Welcome back to Winners and Losers, the show that looks at the highs and the lows around world football this weekend. Dougie Critchley is joining me today on the weekend that saw England or London go into Tier 4, Dukes. Absolutely killed Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah, sad news. I mean, so many U-turns from the government. It's been a bit of a farce, but there was a lot of football to keep us happy and some hella big results, Joe. It was an awesome weekend.
Oh, mate, it was absolutely phenomenal. Yesterday's game between Man United and Leeds, I could have watched for about 20 hours. It just could have carried on going. I never wanted it to end. It was one of the best games of football I've watched this season.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, both sides offered a lot in it, but Man United obviously won 6-2 in the end. There was a game of 43 shots, 8 goals, a combined XG of 5.8, the highest so far in a Premier League match so far this season. And having not been able to watch the Liverpool-Aston Villa game live at least, this was my favourite game of the year by a distance. Maybe even toppling Bayern Munich-Barcelona. I thought this was just awesome to watch. United were 3-0 up inside 20 minutes, their best start to a game in almost 15 years. And it came from an unlikely source. McSauce. Yes, Scott McTominay is now the first player in Premier League history to score 2 goals in the opening 3 minutes of a fixture. I thought his first goal was beautifully taken, and then his second goal was even better with that touch from his right foot to his left, transferring to the left, finish into the bottom right. It was just unbelievable. And having thought at times this year that maybe his long-term future is at centre-back, where he's been playing so well for Scotland, this just put me in the idiot corner. He dominated this game from midfield, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was perfect in selecting him alongside Fred as well. The defensive discipline they offered for that lethal front line, it was awesome to watch. The Scotsman was everywhere. Despite starting in a double pivot with Fred, as I said, 0 tackles, 1 interceptions, but going forward, 3 shots, 3 key passes, 2 dribbles, 2 goals and an assist. It was a nod to the pure chaos that unfurled. Then United's number 18 chipped in with a brace, meaning he's now been involved in 28 goals in 27 Premier League appearances. Of course, we are talking about the not unstoppable Bruno Fernandes. And I was nervous because I hadn't captained Mo Salah going into the game. I'd captained Bruno, needed a big response, and my fantasy was delighted. The first was a driven effort on 20 minutes, then the later a customary penalty after Anthony Martial went down in the box. It was a slightly soft penalty, but probably needed to be given. Shout out to spot kicks. Man United have now scored 20 penalties this calendar year, 3 more ever than the next highest club, which was Liverpool in 1987. Fortunately, it wasn't decisive here, far from it. Even Dan James got in the act, and I put it on Twitter that I thought it was Dan James' best performance in a United shirt, and I think it was his first goal since August 2019, when he got off to a flying start at United, then had a really difficult period, but it was absolutely awesome to see him back on the score sheet for the first time in 33 appearances. Interesting that he got the nod on the right. I thought that Solskjaer got his actually team selection spot on, as I said. I thought Dan James starting looked strange on paper, but I mean, the pace that he offered with Leeds' high line, and all you have to do against Leeds is win your 50-50s, and if you do that consistently, and Man United had much better attacking players than their defenders in terms of individual quality, it was actually quite easy. I mean, Joe, were you impressed by Ole's team selection?
Oh, mate, Ole absolutely got it spot on yesterday. That's how it right. He ripped Bielsa to shreds yesterday. His game plan was superb. The traps he set in midfield to allow us to transition to counter-attacks within 2 passes were unbelievable. The amount of times Bruno pulled Calvin Phillips out of position. Calvin Phillips got an absolute battering by Bruno yesterday. It was brutal watching Bruno Fernandes versus Calvin Phillips. He got hooked at half-time. He did. And I don't even think he was injured.
No, he wasn't. It was sort of conclusive proof that, for me, that I think Declan Rice is still quite a bit ahead of Calvin Phillips. Although I would say, in Calvin Phillips' defence, due to the system, that 4-1-4-1, he didn't get a lot of help from Glick and others going forward as well, coming backwards. So he was really exposed, and Bruno Fernandes is a master operator, as you said.
Yeah.
And for all United's shortcomings, which are plenty, which I'm sure Joe will get onto in due course and sort of break down their season as a whole, United's attack has been phenomenal under Ole. In 302 games, from Moyes to Mourinho, Man United only scored 5 or more goals in a match twice. In 111 games under Ole, United have done it 7 times. Obviously did it a few weeks ago against RB Leipzig as well. And the Norwegian thought they could have got even more from this game too.
One, you had to earn the right to win it by running as much or even more than them. So that's a challenge against Leeds, who are one of the fittest teams in the league. So that'll be interesting to see the stats. Then again, we know their man marking. Of course, there's a couple of movements that we worked on. That worked at times, and it could have been 12-4. It could have been. It's that type of game. And
did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
Just as
because you know it's going to be frantic, hectic against them, because no matter what the result is, 5-0 or 5-0 down or 0-0, they have a certain attitude and style that make you have to work and you have to concentrate every minute.
Yeah, like I said, I thought Ollie got it absolutely spot on the day, but I thought as good as Ollie's tactics were and as impressive as Manchester United were, I thought Bielsa got it horribly wrong on the day. And I know this is this style of football. He wants to enact the 1v1 system. But like you said, when you're up against better players in individual roles, you are just going to get run over. Like Scott McTominay just dominated the entire game because he was able to run off the back of their attacking midfielders for free all day. It was unbelievable watching Rashford one-on-one constantly against like Luke Ayling and like Martial constantly one-on-one against Cooper.
But don't you enjoy it though?
I mean, I as a neutral, obviously you would rather watch a Leeds game than a West Brom or a Fulham game because it is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what you have to also admit is that was the worst team defensively I've seen come to Old Trafford this season. Like,
it wasn't great. And they also got tore apart by Chelsea as well in a couple of weeks ago as well. I think maybe there does need to be a slight adjustment. But my point is that I'd just rather see a promoted team play like that than Huddersfield or Cardiff or West Brom or even Sunderland when we were in the division as well. Like that sort of football just gets me on the edge of my seat.
Oh, yeah. And I think there is definitely room for it, but I think there's a time and a place for it. You've got to pick your battles for it. All well and good going and sticking that out against maybe a Crystal Palace or Newcastle, West Ham, something like that. But when you're up in individual battles against, like it was against Chelsea, like you've got Timo Werner operating in a 1v1 situation or Marcus Rashford operating in a 1v1 situation, you're going to lose that battle 9 times out of 10. So I think you've got to pick your battles because the defending was almost comical at times yesterday from Leeds, I thought. No wonder they've conceded the most goals in the entire league. And I would be surprised if Bielsa doesn't at some stage try and shore it up a little bit against the slightly more dominant teams, particularly in the counter-attack, because everybody knows that's what Man United are. Man United are absolutely fantastic in transition. Probably the best team in the league in transition, to be honest with you, but can't dominate games. So don't give them the chance to transition every sort of 5 minutes. The first 3 minutes of the game, they gave the ball away twice in horrific areas, and Man United counter-attacked twice and scored 2 goals. So not really good enough.
They're also an absolute car crash from set pieces. Sorry, Joe. Their defending from set pieces is abysmal.
Well, it's kind of funny because both of those defences were absolutely shocking. Like Manchester United's defence is appalling at the moment, all over the place, and Leeds is appalling. So it's kind of just slugging it out. But historically, Bielsa's sides don't usually get battered like this. It's the first time since his Newell's Old Boys side in 1992 lost 6-0 to San Lorenzo that a team under Bielsa has conceded 6. So it's a little bit of an anomaly. But it has kind of been coming, hasn't it? The defence is not looking particularly brilliant. And I don't want to lay this just at the door of Bielsa because obviously he's attempted to replace Ben White. It's a big job to replace Ben White. But I just think against the better teams, you've got to adapt your game plan a little bit because it was kind of naive yesterday. And it was a big game as well. Man United Leeds historically is a massive game. And that Leeds fan base won't want to have seen his side concede 6 no matter what sort of style of play they're enacting. I thought Rafinha was a little bit of a bright spark. He caused us quite a few problems. Obviously, the first player to assist 2 goals at Old Trafford away from home in 8 years. So he was quite impressive. Stuart Dallas, that was a fantastic finish, wasn't it? Just trying to find some positives. And they did create plenty of chances. Let's have it right. They could have scored 4 goals probably. United probably could have scored 10. But overall, it leaves them in 14th place on 17 points. They are 7 points clear of the next promoted side, so they're still in a very good position. I just think against some of the more, like I said earlier, I just think they need to adapt that game plan slightly and then keep this game plan for when you play in some of the dross because they're going to pump teams. They will pump some bad teams this season. So it's fair to say I'm not overly the biggest fan of that sort of game plan going away to Manchester United, but what do I know? You know, Roy Keane, he's firmly against Bielsa changing his methods.
I think they'll be fine.
Do you like the way they play? Do you admire it?
I love it. I think it's brilliant. You know,
we talk about sport being entertainment, and that's what they do today. And they've had a lesson from Man United, but Man United are a very, very good team. They are. But overall, that manager, we're talking about changing his ways, but his belief is what makes him a great coach. Obviously, as Jimmy said earlier, if they stay in the league, and I think they will, they'll tweak it and they'll learn, like he just said there, but he's not going to change his ways of coaching. And all the top coaches and managers are very stubborn. And we saw that in the interview there. You could even probably get frustrated with some of his answers, as if he's got to justify to the media what he's doing with players and substitutions. No, I think Leeds will be fine. I think we all enjoy watching them. I'm sure they won't enjoy conceding 6 goals, obviously. But they're having a go. For a promoted team, their points returned so far, I think it's been excellent.
So this result obviously raises the question. I mean, if United win their game in hand, I think they're only 2 points behind Liverpool. So there is some sort of talk about whether United are now in the title race. For me, I don't think anyone's in the title race this year. I think Liverpool are by far the best side in the division. Yes, they've had some blips, but when they're at their best, which they've shown in their last 2 games, they are absolutely frightening. So for me, Liverpool are still way and above everyone else in this division. Joe, can you see an unlikely title challenge from United?
Not really. I don't think Manchester United have the defence to put together a title charge. They've definitely got some of the attacking talent to do it, but the defence is still all over the place, isn't it? So I can't see it. I think the next 5 fixtures for Manchester United are going to be really telling as to where they are in the season. They've got Everton in the Carabao, then they've got Leicester, Wolves, Villa and Liverpool. So I think those sort of 5 fixtures, when we come out of the back of them at around mid-January, you'll start to see where Manchester United's level is. I think Manchester United's level probably, if we're all being honest, is a top 4 push and competing for a position in the top 4, not quite winning the league.
I think that's absolutely fair enough. I think they're just cool for a bit of level-headedness at the moment. Like, it was absolute doom and gloom after United were knocked out of the Champions League in that first half performance against West Ham. Now they're going to win the league. It's probably somewhere in the middle. I think, as Joe says, it's a top 4 finish. What do you guys think, though? Do you think United are in the title challenge? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's move on to our winner.
Just before we jump into our first winners, if you're new to Football Daily, firstly, Merry Christmas. Hit that like button and also hit subscribe, turn notifications on because we do this sort of video every single day. Right, let's get on to our first winners. Sent in to us by Bordicos Costas. It's, of course, Leicester, Dukes.
Yeah, they're now 4 points off top spot after a 2-0 victory away at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Really impressive win, this. It was a fairly dull affair as a game. That first half was pretty dry until Serge Aurier barged over Wesley Fofana in the penalty area in first half stoppage time, converted by Vardy for his 11th goal of the season. It was an absolutely brainless challenge after Serge Aurier has played so well this year as well. The Foxes then had a well-taken James Maddison strike, ruled offside by VAR. It was one of those stupid calls by a stupid rule this year that we've got where it's a shoulder is offside, the rest of his body was onside. It was a bit of a joke, really. But luckily, justice was done for Leicester because they were by far the better side in this game. Alderweireld deflected a Vardy header after Vardy sort of outjumped sort of backpedaling Sissoko, and the ball bounced off Alderweireld's thigh, I think it was, and went past Larry. Leicester may have been forced to win ugly, but in truth, they were the only team forcing the issue here. They took 17 shots to the home side's 8. Castagna, Justin and Ndidi rebuffed most of Spurs' attacks. I thought Ndidi back in the middle of the park was absolutely crucial. Harry Kane wasn't allowed to drop into those spaces. He's been so effective in this year. James Justin was absolutely awesome as well. But between Castagna, Justin and Ndidi, they put in 10 tackles between them. And at the other end, they were dominant as well. Vardy almost shot Mourinho's men by himself with 6 shots, while James Maddison laid on the same amount of key passes, 5, as the Spurs starting 11 combined. Although without the penalty, the two teams' XG would have been roughly the same. So it was a pretty dull affair, but I think this was a really concerning defeat for Mourinho, to be honest. I think their defeat at Liverpool was sort of understandable. Liverpool haven't been beaten at home since, I think, about April 2017, something like that. And that drop points against Palace, I think, were pretty damaging. But this was the most limp of all the displays, I would say. And Jose had his words on Serge Aurier afterwards. He wasn't very happy.
I would describe as a mistake. No, not a moment of madness. I have to admit that you have to know where you are. You have to know that you are inside of the box. The player goes away from your own goal without any kind of danger. I would describe as a mistake.
Is it almost the type of incident you refer to in the documentary when you said to him, "You scare me with VAR, the type of penalty you could give away"?
I know my players. I know my players' qualities. I know my players' little problems, I would say that. Serge was phenomenal against Liverpool, phenomenal. Probably was our best player. And today he made this mistake. Did this mistake cost us the 3 points? I think it's unfair to say that because I would go in. If I have to go on individuals, I could go in other directions where the attitude was not the attitude that I like.
Yeah, I mean, we've firmly been on the Serge Aurier bandwagon this year. I'm not going to lie here at Football Daily. He's really turned it around under Jose Mourinho. But this was kind of a slip back to that 17, 18, 18, 19 Aurier where just brainless madness, 30 seconds of nonsense happens. Because this season he's been so solid. But historically, he is prone to this, isn't he? He's given away 4 penalties in the Premier League since he's joined Tottenham Hotspur, the second highest in the league, behind David Luiz. Not a great stat, that. And it was just so cheap, wasn't it? Absolutely no need to do it. At that moment, coming into half-time, they are still in the game. And then you feel like that changes everything, really. I do want to say, though, I thought Tottenham were pretty awful in this game. When he brought Gareth Bale on for Ndombele, the strategy I didn't understand because all they started to do was lump balls forward towards like Kane. Lucas Moura was trying to compete for balls, and that was Wesley Fofana and Johnny Evans' like wet dream last night to have high balls against Lucas Moura all game. I did not understand it at all. Gareth Bale, when he came on, he really struggled to get up to the pace.
A lot of backwards passing.
Yeah, just looking at him now, 1 shot, 2 dribbles, 56% pass accuracy, not particularly great. And in the space of 5 days, Spurs have dropped from 1st to 5th in the table. They've changed tiers quicker than London have over the last few days. Honestly, they've gone all over the place. I don't think it's a little bit like Manchester United. People were putting them way too high at the start of the season. We were probably culprits for that. And now people are putting them way too low. They're going to be somewhere in the middle, in amongst that top 4 battle with Manchester United. But this game, like you said, Dougs, I really agree, was quite worrying for Jose Mourinho.
Yeah.
I thought Harry Kane got isolated quite easily. And if he gets injured, as he always tends to do around sort of February, March, I have serious concerns about Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, it's curtains. Maybe even for their top 4 hopes if he gets injured as well. One defence of Mourinho, I would say, is that he was quite unfortunate in that he had to bring off... He brought off Ndombele at half-time, which seemed a bit harsh for Bale. But then Lo Celso got injured about 5 minutes into the second half. And that was his 2 sort of number 10 players that were playing that sort of number 10 role. And that really did disrupt their rhythm a hell of a lot. And yeah, as you say, they didn't really create much. Their best chance probably fell to Son in the box in the first half. But he tried to play in Ndombele at the back stick rather than taking a shot, which was really random and unlike Son this season. So, as you say, pretty concerning for Spurs and Mourinho. But where do you guys think Spurs will finish this season? Are they good enough to get back into that top 3, or is 4th to 5th to 6th where they probably should lie and will be for the rest of this season? Let us know in the comments down below. And let's move on to our loser.
Moving on to our losers, I mean, there's only one place to be here. Sent in by Ferdy Boy. It is Arsenal, who, yet again, were absolutely shocking at the weekend. Their search for a first Premier League win since November the 1st continues, of course, losing 2-1 at Goodison to Everton. It is quite a tough place to go, like Goodison Park. Man United are going to find that on Wednesday. It's not easy to go and get an away win or even a point against Everton, but the issue is wider than that for the Gunners, isn't it? They've taken 14 points from 14 games, their worst record since the 1974 season. Of course, they've won 1 game in their last 10, and that was against Manchester United, and I think 7 of those have been losses as well. This time last year, Emery had 4 more points in 1 fewer games. It's just a chaotic mess at the moment at Arsenal, isn't it? Honestly, watching some of those performances at the weekend was almost comical. When he had to throw Martinelli on, who's just come back from injury, and decided to keep Willian on the pitch. I couldn't believe it. What was going on there? How was that call come to? I do not know. Look, a couple positives. Pepe scored a penalty, but overall I thought he was absolutely horrific on the day. Some of his decision-making, just mind-blowingly bad.
His work rate was also really poor as well, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal, we still yet to overturn a half-time deficit under Arteta. That's 10 attempts now. I think a couple of positives. You could say Kieran Tierney still looks like he's really battling for the shirt. Probably been their best player over the last few game weeks, alongside maybe Bukayo Saka. That left-hand side of the pitch looks like they might have a nice little combination going on there. But overall, just nobody wanted it. People's heads went down immediately. Way too easy to score goals against them. I don't know how Arteta survives this. He's got Manchester City and then he's got Chelsea in his next 2 games. If either of those are a battering, I don't see any comeback, to be totally honest with you. And he can talk after the game about time wasting and the fact they missed chances, but not good enough yet again on the weekend.
Well, it's really difficult when you are facing a block and a team that is constantly defending really low and they are wasting time, they're playing their game. We make it difficult for ourselves the way we concede as well the first game, and after, it's not easy to attack those spaces and have 15 chances. I think we had 13 shots, only 2 in targets. I think our ratio is really low if you want to be more consistently and win more football matches, but it's our reality.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty limp display, and you really do feel like they're a defensive team that can't really defend at the moment. They're defending so deep. I was watching them and I was like, this could be Newcastle defending here. They were literally trying to do a low block and with no press whatsoever in that first half at least. And Everton just came onto them way too easily. And there were some images going around on Twitter of circles of about 60 metres where no one, in the centre of the pitch, where no one is in. But all players just staying to their sides, like no one sort of risking getting anything wrong or going out of position. It looked like Sarri's Juventus at times. Everyone's just stuck in position. I just thought it was absolutely terrible to watch, really. The XG does suggest that Everton was slightly fortunate to nick all 3 points here. It was 0.66 versus 1.25. But honestly, I don't really agree with that, to be honest.
Rubbish,
The XG can say what it likes. I thought Everton were by far the better side. They got ahead. They stayed ahead. They did the job. When you've got Calvert-Lewin up front, who controls about 85% of all balls, depending, no matter where it hits him on his body, like, it's incredible. And the home side were missing some massive players as well. They're missing the defensive prowess of Alan, who's averaging 4.4 tackles and interceptions per 90, and Seamus Coleman, of course, Lucas Digne on the other side, who's like their main creative force when James Rodriguez is out as well. They're also missing Andre Gomez, who's injured after a training ground injury, and the attacking endeavour of James Rodriguez, as I said, who is averaging the most key passes in the squad on 2.5. So we're sure that Ancelotti will take a smash and grab victory that moves his club up to 4th in the table following 3 victories on the bounce against Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal, I might add as well. So after that small blip they had when they were messing around with 5 at the back, Ancelotti's gone with 4 centre-backs at the back. They're really solid. They're not the most entertaining side to watch at the moment, but they're getting results, and fair play to them.
Godfrey was class though, man. I thought Ben Godfrey on the weekend was an absolute behemoth. Clattering into tackles, flying up the pitch. He's so rapid, Ben Godfrey. I could not believe the pace on the lad. I think he's been a fantastic signing for Everton.
Absolutely. He's got absolute wheels, and they were saying on commentary at the weekend that the reason he didn't enjoy going to Middlesbrough at some stage was that he was playing left back, which I thought was quite ironic. Now he's playing left back so superbly for Everton. And as you said, that was that moment when he burned Ainsley Maitland-Niles with the ball and made Maitland-Niles look incredibly slow in comparison, which isn't the case. But Ben Godfrey, well played. But Calvert-Lewin, just their main man once again, forcing that own goal from Rob Holding as well, who was captain on the day, which just about sums up where Arsenal are at the moment. So a pretty worrying display for Arsenal. I'm kind of with Joe. I don't think it can get any worse, really. And what bar a severance package paid to Arteta, like there's no risk really in firing him right now. They are at the lowest point I've ever seen Arsenal, worse than under Emery by a distance, and something needs to change because that squad, despite what people will have you believe on Twitter, isn't appalling. It's like top 8 quality, top 7 quality, worst of. So I agree, things can only get a lot better for Arsenal, and I think Mikel Arteta's days are certainly numbered. But guys, that's all we've got time for on winners and losers for this week. Let us know what you guys thought of the stories, who was the real winners, who was the real losers, whether we missed anything out. Let us know in the comments down below. And Joe, what should the good people go and watch now?
Why not go and watch We Need to Talk? It was kind of me reacting to FIFA's Team of the Year, the best awards, and the 55-man shortlist that included Dele Alli.
Oh, Love it, love it. Also, there is no ERU today on Euro Football Daily, I'm afraid. We've had one guy very ill in the team with coronavirus. We've also had someone else had to go to hospital with a stomach issue, so we're a bit understaffed at the moment. So ERU isn't happening this week, but we'll be back tomorrow on Euro Football Daily with Euro Transfer Talk. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye!